Hey, I'm ZSH Plays. Welcome back to Jurassic World North West. Today, we're building an exclusive hotel complex as a premium experience with a lagoon for Ichthyosaurs. This is where we're going to be building the experience, just next to the entrance to the Jurassic area. And in order to build it, we're going to need large hotels. But to unlock them, we need 1,500 guests in the park. And as you can see, we currently have just over 1,000. According to my calculations though, if we can get our guests up to 100% happiness, we will have 1,500 of them in here and we can start building the hotel. The main issue that's affecting our guests' happiness is a poor transport rating, so we're going to fix that straight away by adding a monorail system into the park. We're going to have a monorail to take people from the entrance to a plaza behind the beginning, and we're also going to have an exclusive station for the resort so that guests can get straight to the hotel when they arrive with all their luggage. The way the lagoon is going to work is that this would be exclusive to guests that are staying in the hotels, and the hotels themselves are going to be built around a big lagoon full of ichthyosaurs, which they will exclusively be able to look at, and the hotel will also incorporate 2 underwater viewing windows as well. Alright, that's the first 2 monorail stations in. Let's start making them look good. So what we're going to do is keep the basic Jurassic World design and then just customize the colors and a few other things to fit them better into this park. So once we've opened up a little part of the entrance plaza here so that guests can get off the monorail, this is mainly designed to get people back here rather than for people to get on here because they'll be going through the beginning to get to the rest of the park. We'll move those rocks around, join up the paths, and then we'll start customizing. We're going to make all of the flags and decorations on here the kind of foresty green that we've used throughout this park, and then we're going to change the color of the concrete so it's a lot darker so it fits in with the Jurassic Park style entrance gate for the beginning. Quite a kind of brutalist style going on here, which if you follow the channel you'll know when it's done right is one of my favorite architectural styles. And then because this is going to be the end of the monorail, the station just kind of has a hole in it because we haven't connected anything to it. So we're going to cover that up with just a simple piece of concrete and the Jurassic World sign and just get that looking finished. With this park being a Jurassic World that's been opened in the Pacific Northwest, I'm quite happy to use the Jurassic World blueprints for some of the infrastructure so we can keep the official Jurassic World look and then have much more original designs for the habitats and some of the other things in the park like the desert dome. We'll just do a little bit of tidying up on the entrance and some planting, and there we go, we've got our first monorail station in. With the transport rating sorted, all we need to do now is add in a few more restrooms and a couple of smaller temporary hotels, and we have 1,500 guests in the park. We've unlocked the large hotel and now we can start building the lagoon. What we're going to have is a massive hotel complex that wraps around one side of this lagoon, so it goes around the curves on the edges as well. We need it to actually function as a hotel for the guests, and we need it to incorporate 2 underwater viewing areas as well. So the way that we're going to do that is to take the large hotel and cut it up into different slices that we can then place around the edge of the lagoon. We'll take this end piece here, which we can use towards both ends of the hotel, and then we'll copy it again and get rid of the little bit on the side here, which we can use for the middle of the hotel. We'll take care of the swimming pools later, and there we go, we've got a couple of pieces of hotel here that we can use to start building the big complex. We'll join up the paths and make sure that the underwater viewing areas are working, get them attached to the hotel's monorail station as well, and then we'll lower those. They're going to be permanently lowered. You won't be able to actually see those, they'll be completely covered up with a hotel. And then we'll start working on these hotel pieces and make the ground floor something that makes sense, joining up with the walls of the lagoon, because the hotel and the lagoon are essentially going to be one building once this is finished. The way that we're going to do that is with flower beds and a plant wall. So we're going to place the soil pieces all along the bottom here so we can get some plants in there. And then we're going to take one of the planter pieces and spin it so it's vertical. And we'll use this piece to create a plant wall at the back, and then we can get loads of foliage on there as well. We'll get a big splash of green in amongst all of the white concrete. I think with the blue of the lagoon in front of it, that's going to look really nice. So this is just one piece. We'll just rotate it so we've got the extra piece of concrete at the bottom and at the top. And then we've got this soil here, which we can put all the plants into. And then we'll put some ferns and various other plants in front of it just to make sure it looks attractive. This hotel is going to be absolutely enormous. And the reason for that is that it's been so long since I've used a lagoon in this game, I'd actually forgotten how they worked. I originally intended to have one circular lagoon, just using one of the lagoon pieces. But as I was laying it out, I remembered that every time you add anything to the lagoon, like the hatchery and the fish feeders, etc., they cut the circle off and turn it into a straight line, which completely ruins the look of it. So I've ended up using 2 of the lagoon pieces, so we can just attach those in places where they're not going to spoil the look of it. And now we're going to build an absolutely enormous hotel. To be fair, I think this park would be pretty popular, so a massive hotel does make sense. And this is how we're going to do it. So this piece is just building pieces. There's no actual hotel in here. That will come later. We're going to line this up with the side of the lagoon, and then we'll make some adjustments to these pieces at the front so they join up really nicely with the walls of the lagoon. And there we go, that's starting to look really nice already. And then we'll just take this piece and copy this down this straight side of the lagoon. We're going to do some work on it later so that each piece isn't identical, but you can see where this is going. It's starting to look good. And once we've got the basic pieces in, we're going to do some work on the center of the various pieces so we can get a bit of design going on in here and get a name for the resort on there as well. We'll just do some pretty simple typography with the font pieces on a background of the copper pieces, which I really like, and we use those in the entrance, so that ties in nicely. I'll forever be asking for more fonts in this game, but at least we do have one good one. Looking pretty classy there. And then we can start rotating these pieces around the curve at the edge of the lagoon. We'll start with the same tall pieces that we've used throughout this build so far, drag it across, and then we'll just do this by eye. Make sure it curves nicely around the side of the lagoon here. Just check in that the white concrete at the bottom is overhanging by the same amount on each piece. That's how we'll know that it's rotated correctly. And then making sure it's positioned so that the piece on the right melds perfectly into the side of the piece that's already there. And once we've got it lined up, we'll place it down and just do that again. We want 2 more of the tall pieces, and then we're going to move on to one of the smaller pieces that we cut off from the main hotel building and add that in. This is going to join on to the swimming pool area. We'll have these at both ends. The lagoon obviously is supposed to look like a swimming pool. That's kind of the idea. Looks like the sort of resort hotel that you get that's all built around the giant pool. Except this pool is for ichthyosaurs, not people. So we want some smaller pools that the people can actually get in without getting eaten. So we'll have one of those at either end. And with the final piece in, we can start tidying this up. So we're just going to look at all the joins between the pieces that we've rotated and start filling them in with more of the pieces that were already there in the blueprint, so that we can get walls and floors, make sure everything looks seamless, no bits that people are just going to fall off. I noticed here that these plant pots in the original blueprint are actually ivy in a plant pot, which is a weird decision, but actually they look really good from far away. Nice bit of innovation from Frontier there. And then we'll start joining up the roof. So we'll just put these asphalt pieces into the holes that we've left, and then copy the concrete pieces to create curves where the buildings join. This took a lot of copying, but I've spared you most of that just so you can see how we get this done. And then we're going to add one more little detail to the front of the building. These are the kind of plaza pool pieces from the deluxe edition, which are recolorable, enable us to put a subtle but interesting kind of flower design behind the name of the lagoon. And that's the lagoon side of the resort completed. Let's move on to the entrance. So the way the entrance is going to work is we're going to take the Jurassic Park themed hotel, which has got that classic thatched roof and concrete combination, and we're going to attach that to the front of the Jurassic World hotel. I thought that would be a really interesting combination. They fit together perfectly, and because we've left the actual hotel piece in there, this entire building will now function as a hotel for the guests. I'm going to add a covered walkway here with some signage so that we don't see the guests in the game just walking straight through walls to get into the underwater viewing area. And that is the exterior of the hotel done, looking good. We've got a lot more work to do though, starting with adding in a new monorail station so that people who aren't staying at the hotel can still get back to the entrance. And then another one here. This is where the guests will get back to when they finish in the Jurassic and the Cretaceous areas. Then we're going to go underwater and start making the interior of the lagoon look good. We've got a big rock cave, and then this rock formation, which I really like with the vertical rocks in it. We'll position that so they actually stick out of the water slightly. That looks really cool and just makes the whole lagoon look more interesting. And then we'll move on to the little join between the Jurassic area and the hotel. As our guests walk towards the classic Jurassic Park gates at the entrance to the Jurassic area, I thought it'd be really cool if we had a relic from the original Jurassic Park for them to look at. So I've taken this section of the visitor center and we're going to completely cover it in damaged decals so it looks all old and beaten up, like this is one of the last surviving pieces of the original Jurassic Park that's been collected and transported here. And I'll add some more signage onto it as well. We'll see that at the end of the video. And then we're going to move on to some seating areas, which again will be Jurassic Park themed using the mural from the dining room scene. This is one of the few Jurassic Park blueprints in the game. I'm just going to change the colors and improve it a little bit. We'll have 2 of these, and then we'll just fill all of that in with forest, and then join these onto the paths. Move these rocks. I've done these rocks the same as in the beginning area, just with a different colored rock. to line the edges of the paths and make everything look more interesting. So we'll just move these so it looks like people can actually get into the seating areas. A little bit more foliage, and that is the path to the Jurassic area done. And we can move on to the final thing that we're going to do today, which is going to be a lot of fun. One of the coolest scenes in Jurassic World for me is the shot where the camera follows a kid through the hotel room, out onto the balcony, and then into the park itself. It's such a cool shot. I want to try and replicate that in Jurassic World North West. So what we're going to do is build an actual hotel room inside the hotel. So in the end cinematics, we can fly the camera through it, onto the balcony, and then get a view across the rest of the park. So the way we're going to do that, I've got the facade of one of the hotel rooms here. I've copied it and brought it out into the lagoon so that we can work on it. We've replaced the door with an actual set of doors so that we can open them and get the camera through them. We've built a door frame, we'll put a wooden floor in, and then we're going to build ourselves a little hotel room. This is going to be fun. We've basically got 0 pieces in the game that work for interiors, so we're going to have to build everything custom. But first, the walls. So we're going to use some panel pieces to create the walls of the room. We'll run these around the floor that we've created. We'll drop in this light, which if we shrink it down, kind of looks like a standing lamp that you'd have indoors. And then we'll move on to a bed. I spent ages looking for pieces that we could use to create a bed, and bizarrely, this is the one I came up with. It's one of the benches, the empty version, so we don't get people spawning on it. And if we colour it slightly off-white, it's got the right texture to kind of simulate the look of the duvet on a hotel bed. And we're going to use these to create the top and the sides and the end of it. And then later on, we'll use some wood to create the bed frame. If we place these in and we have them so they're not quite overlapping, you get some lines going down it and a bit more texture to further sell the effect that this is a duvet. And if we're very careful with the positioning, we can actually get rounded rather than straight edges, which further increases the realism. And then we'll take one of the wooden panel pieces and shrink this down and use this to create the bed frame. Get that in the right position, copy that across. There we go, so it's starting to look like a bed. We need some pillows as well, and one of my favourite pieces, the bin bags, are going to come in very useful. They were pieces of flesh last week, and they're hotel pillows this week, but if we colour them again just slightly off-white and get the positioning right, they've got that kind of rumpled texture that you want for a pillow. Probably a bit more rumpled than you expect to find in a high-end hotel in a Jurassic World, but we'll work with what we're given here. And again, just carefully positioning these until we get something that looks like a pillow. Amazing how much use we can get out of just one piece in the game. But we'll just get these two exactly joined together and then copying it so that we got 2 of them. I'm pretty pleased with that, actually. We'll use some more wooden pieces just to create a little line between the duvet. So we've got what looks like a sheet and a duvet on there. And then finally, we'll use one of the wooden trim pieces, or 2 of the wooden trim pieces rather, to create the headboard. Once we've got this in position so it actually looks like a headboard, then we'll change the colour of the wood on the base to match the much richer dark wood here, again that you'd expect to see in a high-end hotel. And that is our bed complete. Very happy with that considering the pieces that we have to work with. All we need to do now is add in some doors, a few plants and some lights. Looking at it from up here, I really feel like I'm playing The Sims here. And that is the hotel room done. Let's take a look at it. Not bad. Right, let's get it into position. So we're going to take it and push it back into the hotel where we originally took the front from. And once we've lined this up correctly with the door and the windows that are already there, we can just delete that extra door. And there we go. Now we can see into the room and fly a camera through here. The view, however, isn't that impressive. I think we need something else other than just trees and the desert dome in the background. So we're going to place a fossil zone in next to the guest path that's nicely lined up with the view from the hotel room, and put a T-Rex skeleton on the roof for further height and interest. And then we'll change all the conifers here for something a bit more resorty. And that is our build complete. We have done an enormous amount of building in this episode. Time to go and grab some Ichthyosaur DNA, and we can check out the finished Lagoon Resort. Here they come. I love how this looks from the fossil zone that we just placed in. It is a pretty epic hotel, if I may say so myself. And the Ichthyosaurs are so cool gliding through the lagoon. Here's the underwater view. One of them swimming past the windows here. Really vibrant with all the fish swimming around as well. And I've tried to position the rocks so you can kind of just see them looming up in the background without them being a major focal point. Let's check out our hotel room. That's a lot of fun. Really like that shot. You can see the Ichthyosaurs as well. And that's the lagoon. Definitely my favourite hotel I've ever built in a game, I think. There's the little Jurassic Park relic as well. And this is where Jurassic World North West stands at the moment. We've got a lot done. And next week, we're going to be returning to the Jurassic area for another habitat there. Thanks for watching, as always. Thanks especially to those of you who've joined the Explorers Club. Hit the join button on the channel if you want to see your name up here. And I'll see you again next week for some more Jurassic World Evolution 3.